Yes, now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Thomas Francis YouTube channel. It has been a while since I've made a video about Misfits boxing, but I've been doing it since this channel started, so I'm going to continue doing it. Misfits X Series 22 is in a matter of hours, and it's a big card. I mean, I say big card, but we've got 14 fights on this card, and there's a few people I don't know, including the start fight, Demi Sims versus someone called Hopkins. Don't know who either are. I understand Demi Sims is the daughter of Tony Sims, who's a legendary boxing trainer. So I'm gonna put my faith in Demi Sims purely for the fact that she's the A side, she's the A side fighter, and she's the daughter of Tony Sims. So she's been training with her dad. She won't have been skipping corners. So I'm gonna say Demi Sims wins that one. The next one I don't know is Jahan Ingram. Obviously I know who Jahan Ingram is. He's fought on Misfits before, and he's a pro prospect of Misfits, and he's fighting someone with the last name Singh. Got no clue. Misfits have clearly set this up for Jahan Ingram to win. So Jahan Ingram is who I'm picking for that one. Any more that I don't really know? We have Amir Cashman Anderson fighting another person. Again, set up from ready to win to build his pro career, which is fine because this is how pro boxing works. Amir Anderson is obviously going to get the win. Then we have Carla Jade, the reigning champion. Her last fight was a draw against Melanie Shershu, whatever her name was. I can't even remember. But the bare knuckle fighter who got her face meshed up. That was a draw. And this time she's fighting Darren Harris. That is a woman. I know it sounds like a girl, like a man's name, but it's just called Darren Harris. I have full faith in Carla Jade. I mean, that face-off said it all. Carla was way more ready for this fight. She was way more ready for the altercation. She was way more experienced as a fighter. And I don't know why she's taking this fight, because it doesn't seem like Darren Harris is even a step up from Melanie. Maybe it's just a step back to get back in the ring, and then maybe she should definitely rematch Melanie though. But I'm gonna pick Carla Jade for this one. Who else am I missing? I have got Amadeus Ferrari versus Amadeus Ferrari versus Raheem Pardell. I'm going to pick Raheem, because although Amadeus Ferrari is an aggressive man, he's a very comfortable fighter, he showed against Saul Papi that he can't really box. He's just a scrapper. And Raheem, again, I've not seen any of his older fights, but I understand he has some older fights. And he seemed like, well, I can't just take his word for it, but he was saying when he was looking at Amadeus' older clips that he was gassing round one, and then that it wasn't good. I don't know. I feel like Raheem takes it more serious than Ferrari does, because we know what Ferrari's like. So I'm going to pick Raheem for the win. Chase Moore is defending his heavyweight title against some Nathan whatever guy. Some Polish prankster who's never boxed before, which, to be honest, is disgraceful, because, let's be honest, Chase Moore's had many fights, and he, as a champion, which he shouldn't be, by the way, should not be fighting people in their first fights. Misfits want to build him as a big star, and they're giving him easy fights because he makes slow progression. I say this, throughout all his fights, he's only making small improvements, and he's been boxing for like 3 years now, and there's barely any improvements going on. There's some, but barely any. He can punch, but the technique isn't there, and you can tell sometimes that he doesn't like getting hit. Like, it's all in the stance. Like, and naturally, he's always chins up here because he's scared of getting hit. I don't know if he is, like, scared, but, like, you can tell it's still somewhat uncomfortable for him. And, the game is hit and don't get hit, so maybe it is a tactic, but he shouldn't. Obviously, Chase Moore's going to win this one. And, again, Tank Tolman had one fight. Chase Moore should be fighting Temple Arts. Temple Arts won the Survivor tag, and it was the former champion who defended against Chase Moore in a controversial fight. Run that back. He should be fighting Temple Arts. He should be fighting other people with more experience, especially if you're a champion. Do you know what I mean? You're not just in this for the money and whatever. You're a champion, walking around saying you're the best in the heavyweight division. Why are we fighting first-time fighters? So obviously Chase Moore's going to win that one. Joey Essex, this is where the card starts getting big, because he's a big star in the UK. Not a boxing star, but a celebrity star. He's fighting a guy called Numero. Numero actually has fight experience, but it was a terrible performance. And Joey Essex is training with Tony Sims, just like Demi is. And Tony Sims was obviously taken very serious. I mean, in Tony Sims' camp, there's Johnny Fisher, there's Craig the Spider Richards, there's many people, right? Joey Essex says he comes from a boxing family, so I believe he's probably taking this more serious. And there was rumours of him fighting Deji back in November on the Misfits 19 card. But obviously he said he wouldn't have been prepared for Deji. So he must have much more training than they've led on. And Misfits, obviously, with his name, want him being a star. So Numero is probably a very well hand-picked opponent for Joey Essex. So I can imagine Joey Essex is probably going to get this win. It won't. I don't believe it'll be no knockout or nothing, but he will probably win that one. Then we start getting into the interesting and actual juicy fight. We have NICHOLLZ taking on Sean Hemphill. You might not know who Sean Hemphill is. He is a pro boxer, and in his most recent fight 2 months ago on a big card in a big stadium, he won a WBA title. Now, although in the last 2 years, I believe he's been knocked out twice, the guy's got a chin, because in his last fight, it was a close one, and he was getting hit with heavy shots, and he was eating them, so he has got a chin. So by no means do I expect this to be a knockout for NICHOLLZ. I didn't expect Idris Virgo to be a knockout for NICHOLLZ. I expected that to go the rounds. And NICHOLLZ's taken this with a bad record, but as a champion, but because he's old, or getting older, and he says he doesn't have much time in boxing, as he would have if he was just starting out, so it's time for him to start taking risks. And I believe NICHOLLZ can do it. I don't think it's going to be a knockout, though. I think it's going all 10 rounds, first 10 rounder for NICHOLLZ. But I believe NICHOLLZ is going to scrape it, but it's not going to be easy. And it's going to be a great fight against Sean Hemphill. Like, genuinely, that will be a fantastic, brilliant fight. And I can't wait to watch it. And then we get into the big three of the card. First, the thing about this fight that makes it exciting, first of all, we have Dillon Danis, big character. Lots of people want to see him get hurt. A lot of people actually like him, which I don't know why. But it is what it is. He's a character and he's a draw nonetheless. He is fighting Warren Spencer. Now, obviously, you're probably thinking there's a massive weight discrepancy there. Why are they boxing? They're not boxing. They're doing the first ever Misfits MMA fight in the middle of a boxing ring, in the middle of a boxing card. And to be honest, I've got no complaints about it, because you know what? If you're going to have Dillon Danis fight, have him fight in the way he wants to fight. He's not going to engage in boxing because he can't strike for the life of him. And that's the reason why I'm picking him over Warren Spencer. Warren Spencer has already said he's not going to engage with wrestling. If Dillon Danis is going to try and wrestle him, he's not going. He's just going to tap, and he's not going to fight like that. Obviously, he's not going to give up the fight that easily, but Warren's going to try and strike him. And as much as that's nice, and I'd like Warren to knock him out, Danis is an very experienced black belt in jiu-jitsu, and Warren Spencer is a white belt. And this is just what I'm getting from the face-offs, by the way. And again, I know nothing about MMA. I'm no boxing expert. I'm no fight expert, but Dillon Danis will break that distance. He will break that guard, and he will get a hold of Warren Spencer, and he will tap him out, most likely, if he does. So I'm picking Dillon Danis to win that fight. It's set up by Misfits, you know. They want Dillon Danis to be a face of this company because he's got a good mouthpiece on him. And it is what it is. Fine. I'll get over it in time. Now, the co-main event. Tony Ferguson, former UFC champion, former UFC legend, is fighting on Misfits. And he's fighting Salt Papi. Now, you could swing this either way. You could say this is a tough test for Tony Ferguson, given the fact that he's on a 8-fight losing streak or 9-fight losing streak, something like that in the UFC. And this is his first ever boxing match, and he's fighting a heavy puncher like Salt Papi. And if Tony Ferguson's been getting knocked out and handed losses, and he's going in his first boxing match against a heavy puncher, it might not end well for him. Given his age as well, he's 41. It might not end well for him. But then at the same time, Salt Papi's fought some good names, but he's never fought an experienced legend in the game. He's fought Anthony Taylor. That was the most experienced fighter he's ever fought, and that was a 3-round close decision. This is, I believe, probably 6 rounds, maybe 8, with an experienced fighting legend in Tony Ferguson. And this could be a very tough test for Salt Papi. Although I believe Tony Ferguson will put it on him, although I believe Tony Ferguson will work and will be a lot smarter of a boxer than Salt Papi's previous opponents, I don't believe he's going to be quick enough, nor have the chin or size to deal with Salt Papi's power. And Salt Papi, I think, will get him out of there. And it's unfortunate for Tony Ferguson, but the man's got balls, and he's a fighter. You don't have to win to be a fighter, and he will always have everyone's respect. But this is Salt Papi's time to rise up. And although Salt Papi's the favourite, I think Misfits were right in putting Tony as the A side, because he is a legend and put some respect on his name. But I'm so ready for Salt Papi to knock the fuck out of Tony Ferguson with the least disrespect possible. Like, I want that old Salt Papi that knocked someone out in 20 seconds. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want from this. But finally, the main event. Darren Till, Luke Rockhold. Now, Darren Till, since making his misfits, by the way, own 2025, stop Anthony Taylor. Now, originally that was meant to be Tommy Fury. I'm glad it wasn't, because maybe that wouldn't have been the best start for Darren Till. Tommy Fury would be a perfect next fight for Darren Till, but Anthony Taylor was good because he brought it to Darren Till, but he wasn't the right size, and Darren was able to deal with Anthony Taylor pretty easily. Then it was Darren Stewart. Now, while Darren Stewart wasn't the best technical boxer, Darren Stewart put it on Darren Till, and Darren Stewart had a massive head and a massive dense figure that made it hard for Darren Till's punches to affect him. And although Darren dropped him twice, Darren Stewart could withhold a lot of punishment. Now, this is where the Luke Rockhold fight is different. Luke Rockhold is not built like Darren Stewart, and Luke Rockhold has not always had the best chin. I mean, he gave up in his bare knuckle fight, although it wasn't for him, fair enough, and it is Mike Perry. But he's got knocked out in UFC a couple of times by, I think it was Michael Bisping, and then I can't remember who else. Yeah, he's not got the best chin, and he's not built like Darren Stewart. So I believe it will probably be a bit easier for Darren Till to knock out Luke Rockhold than it was for him to knock out Darren Stewart. However, Luke Rockhold, I believe, will be a more skilled fighter than Darren Stewart, and will make it harder to get hit than Darren Stewart did. Because Darren Stewart was very walk forward, Luke Rockhold's probably going to be a bit defensive, to be honest, because Darren Till is aggressive, and Darren Till really doesn't like Luke Rockhold. There's no respect here like there was with Darren Stewart. There was even respect with Anthony Taylor. There's no respect here. And obviously there's respect as a fighter, but there's no, like, love. Darren's going to go on it, and I can't wait, because I see a knockout coming here. Darren Till is going to have a mean knockout over Luke Rockhold, and if Luke Rockhold wins, I'll be surprised. But that's who I'm picking. I'm picking Darren Till. So yeah, most of the predictions I've made on this card are just guesses, because I don't know a lot of these people, and a lot of them haven't fought before, and if they have, minimal fights, you know. The ones I'm certain on is Carla Jade, because her opponent isn't as good as her, and Carla's proved time and time again. I'm certain on Chase Moore, purely for the fact that he's had so many fights and the other guy's not fought before. I'm certain about TankNiplz and Sean Hemphill, not on the fact that Ty might win. I'm certain on the fact that I'm aware of how close this fight is, because Sean Hemphill could come around and win this, because he's literally a pro champion. And I'm actually excited for that fight. But I'm most definitely certain about the Dennis fight. Dennis has got a massive weight advantage on Warren Stewart. When they are boxing, Dylan Dennis fought, it was like 180, 190, something like that. Warren Spencer boxes at like 160 or 170, something like that. Something ridiculous. So there's definitely a weight advantage for Dylan Dennis. And if Dylan Dennis is the wrestler, that, again, come on. Sorry, Warren Spencer. So sorry, but it is what it is. And I'm certain about the Tony Ferguson Soul Pappy, and I'm certain about Darren Till and Luke Rockhold. But that's my predictions. Maybe I'll get them wrong. We'll find out in a couple hours. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.